So we got a Terminator survival game coming out. I saw the trailer already, but I'm gonna look at it again. Is that gonna work for reaction? I don't know. It's a very short teaser. Oh, but it's HD now because of YouTube. Okay, those are. I thought that was a shoe or something on Twitter. That's circular goggles. I mean glasses. Oh, I think it's like Sarah Connor's glasses and some shotgun shells there. The Terminators always look weird. Kind of weird, but that's okay. It's fine. It's a different model. Knock-On Studio. I don't know who these are. These people. I never heard of them. That's cool. New Terminator game. It's always good to see. The world is healing. You can tell the world's safe when there's a new Terminator game coming out. Same with Dragon Ball. Should be cool. I'm excited for it. I am. I'm excited for it. Yeah. All right. That's the reaction right there. I don't know what to tell you. So it's a survival game. So you're gonna be a human, probably. Yeah. See, maybe the glasses means you can customize your glasses. It's intense. Multiplayer? I'm not sure about that. Survival game? Like DayZ, kinda? Or we're talking like single player? That's the question. Probably single player. You know, multiplayer is hard to do, especially for a Terminator game. Would they do a multiplayer game like that on that heavy scale? I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm not sure. So we'll just have to wait and see for more. This is a reveal that it exists. Terminator. It looks like the T-800. Might look. The shoulders are different. I think shoulders, or maybe it's not wide enough. It looks weird. Something about it not chrome enough. It is definitely. It definitely looks like the T-800 there. Maybe it's less. Little. They took off some stuff on him for graphics, graphic wise. Graphically equipped. I realized the video wasn't showing the whole thing. That's. What kind of reaction is that? Why is it like that? Okay, well, anyway, that's it. Interesting. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about it? I love all the Terminator games. Well, yeah, I still have to play that, finish that other one. The new one, or the newest one. Dawn of Fate, all of them, all the Terminator games. I actually do. As far as I know, those are all of them. Dawn of Fate, Terminator 3 Rise of Machines, Redemption. So this will be cool too. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe it could be the bad guy. It could be like Jason or Dead by Daylight, or just put Terminator in Dead by Daylight. Don't even need to make a game. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see for more info here. That's all we have to do. Still ain't playing.